decided to travel to San Francisco to buy the most iconic house in the world. And folks, I'm not talking about the White House, or the Russian White House, or the show House.
Wow.
I'm talking about a single-family house. It's actually the best of Seven Sisters, and I'll show you why in just a moment. It's a little Victorian and Edwardian, colorful house that was built in the middle of San Francisco. This house should be epic. This house is also more than just any house. It's a house that hides in plain sight, and at any given moment, it's on millions of postcards around the world, giving this row of houses the nickname Postcard Row, and it modestly stands behind the cast of Full House in the opening credits of the show. Today, I go to San Francisco to buy it. But this isn't just a video of me traveling to San Francisco. I'm gonna walk you through the house itself. But before I do, one thing. Why would I possibly be traveling from Southern California to buy this? Well, because it's a really good wedge deal on one of those houses. And when I see money opportunities in real estate, I'm like a shark smelling blood and water. I think Gary Vee calls that the hustle. But enough about me or Gary Vee, we'll talk details and numbers in just a bit. Let me get you inside this iconic 1890s era Seven Sister house, and let me show you why this is probably the most iconic out of all 7 of them. Oh, and just a heads up, I wasn't here to make some movie production, I was here to make money. So I hope you enjoy this very real, raw walkthrough of this house. Welcome to this 1890s 2849 square foot Victorian home. The bottom floor gives you 2 choices when you walk in. You could start with the bedrooms to the right, which is the Alamo Park side, or go left towards the kitchen and backyard. The first bedroom, I have to say, is pretty epic, especially if you want a modeling career, because you could pretty much stand at the window and have more photos taken of you than a model could possibly dream of. See, the Uber driver on the way over here told me that this is like a tourist madhouse.
This over there is like a lot of tourists take the pictures.
And that might be because of the castle icon on Google Maps given to these houses, or maybe it was Full House.
Whatever happened to?
I'm not sure. All I know is the craftsmanship in this house is absolutely unreal. And my goal in buying this house? Restore it to its original beauty. That same beauty that made the Titanic great. That Victorian craftsmanship that's almost all but gone today. Heck, look at a Victorian-era baseboard, for example, and then compare that to a modern baseboard. See what I mean? Now, unfortunately, the second bedroom doesn't exactly have the best of views, but the backyard does make up for that. But before you go there, you have to pass the mirrored family room, and there's also a mirrored full bath here, which I have to say the original brass hardware is actually kind of cool. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I love saving money when I renovate real estate, so I would really be tempted to polish up this brass hardware. Now, the kitchen, though, felt a bit 1960s, which would make sense because in 1964, this single-family house was actually turned into a duplex. That is, 2 legal rental units. The bottom floor as 1 2-bedroom, 1-bath unit, and then the upper 2 floors as a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Now, in San Francisco, there's actually something really weird about 2-unit apartment buildings. In most areas, people love 2-unit buildings. People want to turn a house into multiple units. Like, it's a bonus when you hear that the zoning allows you to build units. Yet in San Francisco, thanks to the super strict rent control laws, duplexes tend to sell for less than single-family houses because single-family houses are exempt from a lot of the restrictions that rent control creates. And it's not super easy to turn a duplex into a single-family house because now you're essentially taking rentable real estate off the market. You're losing a rental unit if you turn a duplex into a single family again, even though it originally was a single family house. Now, I'll tell you exactly what I initially offered on this deal, and I know this is a killer deal and it's going to be incredibly profitable. In fact, I teach you exactly how to analyze opportunities like this, typically on a much smaller scale, but the same tactics work in high-end markets, low-end markets, medium-end markets, in my real estate investing course linked below. I'm also doing a special coupon in honor of my quest to buy this house linked below. You can use that on the rental renovations and property management course as well as the other courses. Check those out down below. Anyway, the backyard though for San Francisco, absolutely epic. And one of the reasons this house seems to be one of the best of the 7 painted ladies is that the houses to the left all have their rear views blocked by other houses, particularly this yellow one here. The houses to the right are blocked by either trees or apartment buildings. But this particular house, right in the middle of the block, happens to have an unobstructed view right across the backyard of that yellow house to the dome of City Hall. And the view only gets better upstairs. Now, I can't help myself but think that this house straight up reminds me of Michael Keaton in Pacific Heights. I have to say though, I do think that the split bathroom is a little odd. See, apparently in San Francisco, a split bathroom means you have one room with a toilet and then another with a sink and bathtub and shower. I guess they didn't have poopery in the 1890s. Now, aside from another 1960s kitchen, check out the flooring and the original moldings here. Not to mention, the doors, the original hardwood doors are absolutely magnificent. And even though this bathroom here looks old, it's really incredible to look at. By the way, I showed this fireplace to my buddy Matt Reisinger, and he said this fireplace was an absolute masterpiece. Minus, of course, the metal insert they put into it. Now, this floor had some pretty incredible views of Alamo Park, yet we're still not even at the top floor. And I'm still amazed looking at the beauty of the detail on the inside of the house, though. And that beauty even extends outside. Like, look at the spindles on the patio. Thankfully, the sellers were wise to keep all of the doors they possibly could because they are incredible. Now, initially, the staircase going to the top floor didn't super excite me, but then I saw the staircase posts, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you just don't see this anymore. But here is the highest view of Alamo Park. Check this out. Pretty shocking, isn't it? So everyone, the time has come to reveal my offer to you. This house, first of all, hit the market about 2.5 weeks ago for $2.75 million. And so when I first saw this thing hit the market, I do exactly what I tell everybody to do in my real estate investing course. When you see a deal, you drop everything and you go to it. I literally booked a flight last minute and at the same time got my pre-approval letter.
So now a lot of you that know me might be wondering, wait a minute, Kevin, why the heck are you breaking your 30-minute rule? Well, let me explain why this is such a good deal and why the heck I would jump on a plane to go buy it. So here's the scoop. Based on my research, I believe I could buy this place for somewhere just above $3 million. Possibly as high as $3.5 million, but somewhere within that range is probably what this property is going to sell for. Note, it's listed for $2,750,000. But in San Francisco, it's pretty much the norm that properties sell for more than what they're listed for. However, the San Francisco market has slowed down, so it's not as crazy as it used to be. Now, I do have a confession to make. The most expensive property I own is a $1 million property in Southern California. So this is literally 3.5 times the most expensive piece of real estate that I own, which is mind-blowing. But the cool thing is the principles of the wedge deal apply no matter if you're working on $150,000 deals, $600,000 deals, or in this case, basically $3.5 million deals. It's insane, except the risk level is a little different. But as we know, with more risk sometimes comes more reward. So let's talk about that reward part. There are 3 plays on this deal. Option number 1, you could convert this duplex building into condos. That's called doing a condo conversion, and my guess is that would take anywhere between 6 to 12 months. Now, just so you know, doing things in San Francisco is really expensive. You can't pick up the phone and call a handyman for 15 bucks an hour. You're usually paying somewhere around $40 to $50 per hour for a handy person. And a licensed contractor is going to cost you between $80 to $110 per hour. So let's say for the condo conversion, you spent 6 to 12 months doing the project, and you spent, and this sounds crazy, $500,000. That's $250,000 per unit. decking these units out and making them awesome. You can now sell the units individually for probably somewhere around $2.4 million averaged out each. That might be like 2.1 for the lower unit and maybe somewhere around 2.7 for the upper unit. That would mean I would literally be able to make $4.8 million minus my expenses of $3.5 to purchase, $500,000 to fix up, and the holding costs for the property and the permit fees and all the things associated with that. You would literally walk out of there after 12 months with $800,000 in the bag. Heck, if you waited 12 months and a day, you could call this long-term capital gains and pay significantly less taxes, or just 1031 exchange this and basically never pay taxes. The problem is, to pull this off, you need at least 25% down, which is a lot of money, plus you need the fix-up money. You're knocking on the door of needing somewhere around $1.4 million in cash to do this deal, which is crazy. And it's also kind of risky, because what if the market turns? Your $800,000 profit could evaporate. But I guess that's true in any market. And $800,000 of profit going in, that's still pretty good. I mean, even if you walked out and, oh my gosh, worst case scenario, had a $300,000 profit, that's still a pretty dang nice year of work. And don't kid yourself, with real estate, we all know it's a side hustle. You're not working on it all the time. Now, the second option is actually returning this property to what's known as its highest and best use, and that's a single family house. This conversion is actually downzoning. You'd lose a unit, so you're probably spending somewhere around $700,000 and 2 years of time renovating this property. But if you put that 700 grand in, you could probably sell the actual house itself for somewhere between $5.1 to $5.5 million. And the potential profit on a deal like that would be somewhere between $900,000 and $1.3 million. And again, you could 1031 exchange and never ever pay taxes. There's some additional steps involved in never paying taxes, but we talk about those all the time on this channel. Again though, you have the risk of waiting 2 years, and you have to ask yourself, what's the San Francisco real estate market going to do over the next 2 years and another election cycle? Now, number 3 on paper is the worst option, but it's the safest play if you're trying to minimize the amount of money you're putting out until, let's say, you had more money and you were able to go with option 1 or 2. The condo conversion or the house conversion, that's gonna make you the most money on this deal, and that's the long-term play. But in the short term, if you wanted to, in theory, you could probably IKEA kitchen this up, 50 grand into each unit, rent them out as is. The problem with that is you'd probably only fetch about $4,500 for the bottom and about $6,000 for the top, which you might get a little bit of painted lady premium, so you'd probably have rents somewhere around $11,000 to $12,000 coming in. However, your total payment on this property with 25% down would be somewhere around $16,500, which is not what I recommend you do. In my real estate investing course, I always teach you how to find those deals to make sure when you're putting 25, sometimes 30% down, at least you're making a small amount of cash flow in addition to getting a really good deal. Because I don't think there's any disputing that even at 3 to 3.5 million, this is a really good deal. But you don't want to be sitting around holding a negative cash flow of $4,500 per month for a very long time at all. You want to get this thing off the books. Fix it, sell it, flip it, move on. Now, straight up, I'm a little bit nervous about this deal. As much as I'm confident in my offer and I know I'll make money, it's a big project. I obviously wouldn't fly out there if I didn't think I could make money on this deal, but now you know the numbers and the math behind this. My preferred option is turning this into a single family house, but I've got some more research to do with the city of San Francisco, definitely a lot more work to do in general, and let's see how this wedge deal ends up comparing to other deals if I get it.
Now, I have one more thing to reveal to you, but first I have to sincerely thank the listing agent, Jeremy, a really amazing guy, high quality, high caliber agent, incredible person. Thank you so much for getting me into this house. I know you didn't want to be on camera, but I hope you don't mind the shout out. Also, I always encourage you to surround yourself with professionals, and a huge thank you to Rob Orlando, also a real estate agent, top producer in San Francisco. who helped educate me on duplexes in San Francisco, rent control, condo conversions, and all the other extra time you took with me. And thanks to Noah for setting up that connection. I'll never forget our RuneScape days together.
Noah, you love it too?
Of course I do. Amazing
awesome.
historic property.
And so folks, with that, I have one thing left to say. Wedge life.